guys, welcome to Educated Sapiens. So in this very session, we'll be covering ESI related current affairs. Definitely, they are important for your phase one as well as your phase two of the examination. As far as the current affairs coverage is concerned, so today in this session, I'll be covering current affairs from 2nd of January to 4th of January. So that's what the basic idea is. There is one news which is related to your foreign trade policy. There are some amendments, some changes that are being done. They are important, but I am not covering in this very session. I want to take a special session on this FTP. One more thing, ONDC was also there in news recently. So on ONDC also I'll take a special session because these kind of a topics you can expect a descriptive answer, right? Kind of a question. So for descriptive writing perspective, from that perspective, I'll take a special session on FTP, foreign trade policy. It's there in your syllabus as well, and ONDC as well. Now let's move ahead and see the answer to the last question, the question that I gave you in the last session. So I asked you a question on Competition Commission of India. If you remember last class, we discussed about CCI coming up with new studies. So in one of its studies, it is looking forward to how AI can impact your marketing strategies and marketing competition altogether. But this kind of a study, they are only analyzing your renewable energy sector, not your non-renewable. The study will be also be conducted only in the BRICS nation. If you remember, we had discussed this. And yes, the third option is correct, that CCI is also conducted a market-based study wherein it is studying that how artificial intelligence can impact competition, marketing strategies and all. Now let's move ahead and see what is the next news article, that is on your ASUSE. Now it's an annual survey. It basically incorporates the unincorporated sectors 2023-24. Now what are these sectors? So basically the producer unit, any unit which is producing something, but they are not a legal entity, they are which is not incorporated as a legal entity, separate from the owner. So owner is himself the entity which is producing it. With the assets which are used in this kind of a production unit, they do not belong to the enterprise but to the owners himself. जैसे if I say that I have a bakery, और उस बेकरी को मैंने किसी एंटरप्राइज के नाम से रजिस्टर नहीं किया, वो मेरी अपनी बेकरी है, मेरे नाम से चल रही है. सो उसके अंदर अगर मैं कोई डेट लेती हूँ, मैं लोन लेती हूँ, तो मैं अपने नाम से लोन लूँगी. उसकी जितनी ऑब्लिगेशन है, जो कुछ भी फुलफिल करना होगा, मुझे अपने नाम से करना होगा, किसी फर्म के नाम से नहीं. They cannot engage in transaction or enter into contractual relationships with economic units nor incur liabilities on their own behalf. So that's what is unincorporated unit. Now in this very survey का period याद रखना, question पूछा जा सकता है. What is the period of the survey? It starts from October 2023 to September 2024. This is very important. Certainly such kind of questions where they are asking you about the time period of the surveys, such kind of questions have been seen in your phase 1, phase 2 of RBI as well as NABARD previously as well. Who publishes this survey? It is by your MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now what else sector? Agriculture sector is not included. You need to remember this. Non-agricultural sector are the only ones that are included in this very survey. Now what are we studying, or what is this data set talking about? It talks about what is the contribution of employment, what is the GDP, what is the socio-economic landscape of India altogether. If I talk about the significant sectoral growth that has happened in this unincorporated sector, definitely in comparison to the last year, you can say both in rural as well as the urban area, the number of people who are employed or who got job in these very units, it is very high. There have been an increase. Number of establishments also have increased by 12.84%. If I talk about in manufacturing sector, you have seen a growth. In service sector also there was a growth. In GVA, in the country's GVA, the overall contribution, it has also increased. So all in all, this sector is booming. That's what the data says. Do you need to remember the data? I would say certainly not. But yes, you must know what is this this report or this data set all about. Now the next thing is, how many people are employed. You can see that last year survey, it was 11 crore. Now the new survey, the recent survey, it says 12 crore people have been employed, so that's also one thing that you can remember. Next thing is, female owned enterprise, they have also seen an increase. Age emolument, wages per hired worker, that has also increased. So all in all, it's a good thing. Even digital adoption in these very thing where they are using internet and all, that has also increased. That's it. Do you need to remember the data? No, this is not a report in which you should ideally be remembering the data. ऐसे तो बहुत सारी report आएंगी, you will not be able to remember everything. So let's be very practical and just focus on certain important parts. अगर ये report आएगी, as far as I feel, they can ask you about what are these unincorporated sector. They can ask you if it's regarding some agriculture thing or not. They can also ask you about the time period, or they can ask you about the ministry that is publishing this. You can get confused कि अगर ये इसमें मैं Ministry of Statistics ना लिख के if I add over here Ministry of Commerce and Industry, या फिर मैं नीति आयोग लिख दूँ, तो वो थोड़ा confusing हो सकता है. But then you have to remember it's your MOSPI, October 23-24, October 23 to September 24. So थोड़ा offbeat coverage period है. So that also you need to remember. Now let's see what's the next news article. The next news is on World Malaria Report 2024. अब ऐसे तो वर्ल्ड टीबी रिपोर्ट भी आती है, वर्ल्ड हेपेटाइटिस रिपोर्ट भी आती है. If this report would have come 2 to 3 months before your examination, I would have surely asked you to remember some important data. Because अभी एग्जाम में टाइम है, so we'll focus upon other aspects. ये डेटा पॉइंट्स जो भी इस रिपोर्ट में है, not that important, but जो भी important है, I'll surely tell you. If I talk about malaria, देखो कुछ जनरल नॉलेज की चीज़ें हमें पता होनी चाहिए. मे बी दे कैन बी आस्क्ड, दे कैन नॉट बी आस्क्ड. लाइक मलेरिया कौन कॉज करता है? सो इट्स अ प्लाज्मोडियम, अ पैरासाइट विच इज एक्चुअली कॉजिंग इट. ये प्लाज्मोडियम, ये पैरासाइट, हाउ इट गेट ट्रांसफर्ड? इट इज गेटिंग ट्रांसफर्ड बाय अ फीमेल मॉस्किटो, एनोफिल्स मॉस्किटो दैट वी सी. कहाँ मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट है? ये ट्रॉपिकल डिजीज है, सब ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज में इट्स वेरी मच प्रोमिनेंट. अफ्रीका, साउथ अमेरिका, एशिया, इंडिया में भी मलेरिया इज क्वाइट प्रेवलेंट. But India has a target. The target is we want to achieve a status of malaria free by 2030 and with zero indigenous cases by 2027. So WHO has also highlighted that India has done very well in its report. So ये जो World Malaria Report है, सबसे पहले किसने publish करी है? It's by World Health Organization, which has actually applauded India for its progress in this tackling malaria and all. अगर मैं बोलूँ ग्लोबल फाइंडिंग्स के हिसाब से, then definitely 263 million malaria cases have occurred globally in 2023. Geographically, if I talk about, then African region carried 94% of global malaria cases and 95% of malarial deaths in 2023. इसमें भी since 2015, 9 countries including Egypt in 2024, that is the recent, which is the recent country to be declared malaria free? It's your Egypt. When does India wants to become malaria free? We want to get this status by 2030. So you need to remember both the points. If I talk about India's specific findings, India's specific findings के हिसाब से देखो, जब independence, when we got independence, at that time our situation was very poor. But now definitely we have actually done we have progressed very much. You can see 80% reduction. That's what the government's data are suggesting as far as the number of deaths are concerned. So that means we are able to manage it well. No need to remember the data, but yes, you have to remember 2-3 things. One thing, who has published this report, World Malaria Report? It's by WHO. When does India want to become malaria free, to get this malaria free status? By 2030, and we want to go zero indigenous cases by 2027. In the year 2024, which country was declared malaria free? It's your Egypt. In 2024, what happened in India? India exited WHO's high burden to high impact group, which is also a keystone. That means अभी तक इंडिया जो WHO की लिस्ट होती है, which talks about that a lot of malaria cases are reported in India, उसकी लिस्ट से we have been able to come out of it. So that's what the report suggests. The next thing is, if I talk about the states, the number of states in which malaria was of a very high burden, earlier it was 10 in number. अब सिर्फ 2 states ऐसे हैं जहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा malaria it is there. It's in Mizoram and Tripura. Both states are from your northeastern region. Rest states they have improved in leaps and bounds. No need to remember everything. You just remember whatever I have marked in this slide. Next is NPCI extends market cap deadline for UPI apps. देखो we all know UPI में अगर हम बात करें now we are like addicted to UPI. अगर हम in day to day life also, if you see financially, one thing which has made a remarkable change in the way we are spending, or it has been a digital revolution in India, not only in India, but it has put India across like famous, you can say, in financial domain. It's your UPI, a successful thing, you can say. So NPCI, if I talk about NPCI as a body, it's an umbrella organization which looks forward to your retail payment. तो retail payment में किस तरह से payment हो रही है, किस तरह से उसकी settlement हो रही है. So that's what your NPCI looks after. It was an initiative of RBI and your Indian Banks Association. So under which act are they governing all these things? Then Payment and Settlement Act, under which NPCI was formed, and that's how its journey began. If I talk about the recent changes that have been done, there was this news that major players, if you know Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm and all, the government has actually asked, or the NPCI has actually asked, कि इन सारे के सारे apps को 30% volume cap लगाना है on third party UPI apps. So जितनी भी third party UPI apps है, जैसे आपकी फोन पे हो गई, गूगल पे हो गई, they have to put 30% of a volume cap. They cannot exceed it further. But then having this cap altogether is very tough. ये cap लगाना कि इतना ही volume में you can do transaction, this is very tough. So now NPCI has given them 2 years of extension. You need to remember the extension period, that is till December 31st, 2026. This is the third time that NPCI is extending this kind of deadline. In the year 2020, basically, in November 2020, this issue actually came out where NPCI issued a guideline कि देखो जितनी भी transaction हो रही है which is handled by the third party application provider like your Google Pay, Phone Pay and all, इनको 30% each they can handle. They cannot handle beyond this. But we all know 80% तक, 84% तक, single-handedly they are holding the share in the market. So basically TPAPs, the third party application providers, they are application programming interface. They just have an interface designed in UPI exclusively for the banks. There are either standalone applications like आपके phone पे है, Google पे है, ये सिर्फ एक interface provide करते हैं. डेफिनेटली आपका जितना भी ट्रांजैक्शन या सेटलमेंट का काम है वो तो पीछे आपका बैंक ही कर रहा है. जैसे अगर मैं फोन पे से ट्रांजैक्शन कर रही हूँ, देन द सेटलमेंट थिंग इज डन बाय योर येस बैंक. द नॉर्म्स बेसिकली ये 30% जो हमने वॉल्यूम, वाई आर वी एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस वॉल्यूम कैपिंग एंड ऑल? द रीजन बीइंग इज दैट दे डू नॉट वांट दैट कंसंट्रेशन हो पावर की इन फ्यू हैंड्स. Like it should not be like phone pay, Google Pay, they are handling more than 80% of transaction that is happening in the market. So इस aim के लिए, और we should have multiple players in the market. We actually wanted to reduce any single point risk failure. So that's how the idea came up. अब ये idea आया क्यों? Then in March 2020 what happened was, a little background. Yes Bank was placed under moratorium. We all know Yes Bank in 2020 it was not doing very good, and then SBI was being asked to take care of the bank, though now it's doing better than what it was doing earlier. But उस time पे there were news in the market that there is some problem going in that bank. So Yes Bank पे जब moratorium लगा तो PhonePe had to work overnight to switch banks as its transactions were handled by UPI. तो जैसे मैंने अभी बताया, फोन पे जब भी आप ट्रांजैक्शन करते हो मेजरली येस बैंक वॉज इन्वॉल्व. अब येस बैंक पे इतने सारे मॉरेटोरियम आरबीआई ने लगा दिए थे दैट द ट्रांजैक्शन थिंग विच वॉज डन बाय फोन पे इट बिकेम वेरी टफ. सो इस केस को लाइक सर्टेनली दिस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन डजंट हैपन अगेन, इसके लिए दिस वॉल्यूम कैपिंग वॉज बीइंग इशूड. नाउ this is a good move. After all, government wants, or NPCI wants to protect the consumers, but then there is a criticism as well. What is the criticism? Analyst says that there is no way for any market participant to reduce their own market. अब अगर let's suppose फोन पे के पास 70% के करीब मार्केट शेयर है, तो वो बिना सर्विसेज डिनाई किए या तो वो कस्टमर को सीधा बोलेगा दैट यू नीड नॉट ओपन अकाउंट इन माई ऐप, यू आर नॉट अलाउड। इसके अलावा ऐसा कोई तरीका नहीं है जिससे वो अपना मार्केट शेयर रिड्यूस कर सके। वन थिंग, अगर वो इसको लाइक इफ दे आर नॉट एबल टू डू बाय दिस, देन एनपीसीआई इज गोइंग टू हैव सम पेनल्टी ऑन देम, सो अगेन दिस विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम। सो ऑल इन ऑल द एनालिस्ट फील्स कि ये सिर्फ डेडलाइन एक्सटेंड ही होती रहेगी। मे बी इन रियलिटी दिस काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग वुड नेवर हैपन। सो दे से दैट इफ यू एक्चुअली वांट्स टू like save customer or have this you want to look after this failure risk, then one thing that you can do is you can come up with a better plan, not this one. Anyways, such kind of a news article, they are important, like what kind of question can come, kitna market cap hai, kitna like what is the cap on the volume percentage terms, they can be asked. They can also ask about what is the extension that is being given. In fact, npci se related jo basic information hai, that is definitely important. Okay, let's move ahead. We all know microfinance institutions. So in microfinance institutions का एक network है which is basically a type of a self-regulatory organization, SRO. Self-regulatory organizations इस तरह की organizations होती है, basically they look after that all the organizations, जैसे microfinance है उससे related जितनी भी organizations है, they are actually following the due diligence, और अगर उनमें कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है देन दे एक्चुअली हेल्प देम टू सॉल्व इट, या फिर पुट अप इन फ्रंट ऑफ द अथॉरिटीज अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. So microfinance institution network, now they have come up with this idea of having a 3 lenders per borrower rule. I hope it's clear to you all. Sorry, to safeguard the this देखो microfinance institutions में basically जो problem अभी आ रही है that is of GNPA, gross NPA, because gross NPA was rising, so there were certain restrictions that were being put in this microfinance institutions. If I talk about this microfinance institution, I would like to tell you these institutions basically what they do is ये credit activities भी undertake करते हैं. They are even into this saving account and all. They are also into this insurance business, या फिर fund transfer भी they are allowed to do. So all in all, these microfinance institutions, they take care of the low income category group in the country. Now, basically, the deadline was there wherein the compliance for maximum 3 lender per borrower rule. तो एक borrower at max 3 lenders से it can take money. So this compliance has been given 3 months of extension, that is till March 2025. Remember this. If I talk about this MFIN as an institution, it's one of the self-regulatory organization of the microfinance sector. The other organization is SADHAN, SADHAN. Okay, remember this as well. When I talk about the aim of this institution, microfinance sector and all, as I've already told you, basically ये हर तरह की services provide करता है to the low income category. Why are they important? Yeah, why is this 3 lender borrower rule very important? Because GNPA ratio was actually rising, means NPA was rising. Because it was rising and it has increased to 11.6%, this intervention was required wherein कोई भी borrower 3 लेंडर से ऊपर पैसा नहीं उठा सकता. एमफिन ने पहले ये कैप 4 लेंडर्स पे लगाई थी, लाइक बोरोवर ईच बोरोवर 4 लेंडर्स दे कैन टेक मनी. अब इसको कम करके 3 लेंडर्स कर दिया है. एमफिन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड स्ट्रिक्टर लेंडिंग नॉर्म्स इन लेट नवंबर 2024, इंक्लूडिंग कैपिंग अ बोरोवर्स टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन्स एट 2 lakhs. सो एक बोरोवर टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन कितना रख सकता है? नॉट बियॉन्ड 2 lakhs. This loan include loan which is of microfinance and the unsecured retail loan as well. MFIN has also imposed a restriction on lending to a borrower जिसका जो overdue है of amount is for more than 60 days. 60 days से ज़्यादा हो गया, payment has not been done, neither the principal nor the interest, and the amount is greater than 3,000 rupees. So you need to remember this. All together, this is being done to reduce your gross NPA. I hope it's clear to you all. Let's move ahead and talk about EPFO 3.0. Before moving ahead and talking about this, I just want to ask you one thing. I hope up till now everything is clear. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section below. Regarding the questions from these news articles, next class we'll first discuss the questions and then we are going to solve these. Then we are going to take up the next articles. When I talk about EPFO 3.0, so let's first discuss. When we talk about EPFO's 3.0, so basically EPFO बहुत important है. Employees Provident Fund Organization, social security के हिसाब से this is very important. As far as its progress or its significance, you can see 1570 crore pension is being dispersed to 68 plus lakh of pensioners for December 2024. So you can see the huge impact on social security that this organization has. So some changes have been done. Minister of Labor, they have announced that EPFO version 3.0 software would be rolled out by June 2025. अब एम क्या होगा? वेरी सिंपल, मॉडर्नाइजेशन, वन थिंग, टू हैविंग बेटर यूजर एक्सपीरियंस, ताकि एटीएम कार्ड्स दिए जा सके व्हेन पीपल रिक्वायर दे कैन टेक आउट मनी, डिजिटल एक्सेसिबिलिटी हो, ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल हो बेटर, एंड यूजर फ्रेंडली इंटरफेस हो. बेसिकली दे वांट टू गो एट पार विद द बैंकिंग सिस्टम. जैसे हमारा बैंकिंग सिस्टम है नाउ, इट्स सीमलेस. एसबीआई का योनो देख लो, या whatsoever other banks as well. So EPFO wants to go at par with those banking systems, and that's why EPFO 3.0 is being rolled out. So altogether the timeline will be in the phased manner. First of all, they'll upgrade the website and systems by January 2025. In phase 2, by March 2025, they'll offer core functionalities. And by June 2025, everything, being your ATM card, grievance redressal, everything would be taken care of. But all in all, what you have to remember is कब तक ये revamp हो जाएगा? June 2025 तक. Next, WPI base year revision. Government is again and again looking after revising the base years. Base year किस लिए important होता है? Because we want to see that हम कितना improve किए हैं year on year. सो द बैक, एंड वन मोर थिंग, कभी कभी क्या होता है दैट जीडीपी इंक्रीज हुआ या इन्फ्लेशन इंक्रीज हो रही है, what is actual level of increment that you will be able to have only when you have some base, some year you have to take as a base. Last revision हुआ था when the current base year was kept as 2011-12. Plan ऐसा था that a revision would be done and it will be revised to 27-2018. But then this COVID happened and all, so government was not able to look after it. If I talk about the current WPI items, my question to you all is, question 1, you have to tell me, when I talk about wholesale price index, who publishes it? You have to tell me in the comment section below. See, फिलहाल because we have just started the sessions, हम थोड़ा सा स्लो जाएंगे और थोड़ा इजी वे में पिक करेंगे. बट एज द टाइम विल प्रोग्रेस, आई वुड एक्सपेक्ट कि जब हम WPI की बात करें, सो एवरीथिंग इज ऑन योर टिप्स. जैसे नंबर ऑफ आइटम्स 697, विच मिनिस्ट्री इज एक्चुअली इन्वॉल्व इन दिस WPI थिंग एंड ऑल. So that's what my expectation from your side will be. The other thing is, you also have to tell me maximum products which are covered in this WPI belongs to which sector, like manufacturing, services, or service sector is it taken into consideration in WPI or not. So this is your question, you tell me in the comment section. Now WPI के बेस रिविजन के लिए एक 18 मेंबर की वर्किंग ग्रुप विल बी कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड. इट विल बी लेड बाय नीति आयोग्स मेंबर रमेश चंद. रिमेंबर, it is important. What is the criteria or what is government looking after is they want to make the base year as 22-23. This update, why is it important? Regular updation is important in the base year, as simple as that. Objective क्या क्या रहेगा और what is the mandate? First of all, they have to like commodity which is now 697. तो इस commodity basket में if there are some changes required, so that will be changed. They will also review the price collection system mechanism, like how the prices are being collected. अगर उसको कुछ change करना है, then that will be also looked after. इसके अलावा the computational methodology, the methods that are being used for data interpretation, अगर उसको better कर सकते हैं, that will be there. Is it a good time to switch to your producer price index, PPI? PPI full form is Producer Price Index. Do India publishes PPI? No. As of now, no. We are only publishing WPI. But yes, based upon the global standards, Government of India is also looking forward to publishing your PPI, Producers Price Index. We are also looking forward to improving the compilation of data and all. What is the mandate? Mandate is very simple. Whatever we have discussed, it's written again in the similar fashion over here. You can just read it after the class. Rest, whatever we have discussed here, this is the objective as well as the mandate both. If we talk about members, देखो, who is leading this 18 member committee, that is obviously important. उसके अलावा कुछ official members हैं, कुछ non official members हैं. Official members में there will be representatives from your RBI, MOSPI, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Agriculture, and Department of Consumer Affairs as well. Non-official members में there will be one economist, Surjit Bhalla. There will be one EAC member, Economic Advisory Council of Prime Minister member, Shamika Ravi. And that's how, other members are also there. You can just give it a reading. Naam important hai, maybe they can be asked. You please try and remember these personalities' name. They can be asked, they may be asked. Next is Faral Sakhi initiative. I hope up till now everything is clear. We can move ahead with Faral Sakhi. Basically, this Faral Sakhi initiative, it is there to empower women, women entrepreneurs in Mira Bhandar, which is in Maharashtra. So basically, this unit is producing traditional snack. They provide tools, they provide skill, they provide opportunities specifically to women entrepreneurs, and that's why in a joint collaboration of Mira Bhandar Municipal Corporation and Women Entrepreneurship Platform, they have joined hands under Award to Reward program for this Faral Sakhi initiative. याद क्या क्या रखना है? The organization that is involved, both the organization, Mira Bhandar as well as Women Entrepreneurship Platform. Now let's talk about this entrepreneurship platform. Women Entrepreneurship Platform, when I talk about, it was launched in 2018. ये किसने लॉन्च किया था? It was launched by नीति आयोग. Basically, जब लॉन्च हुआ था, so it was altogether looked after by नीति आयोग only, and later it was converted into a PPP model, public-private partnership, in 2022. It has 3 guiding principles. What are the 3 guiding principles? इच्छा शक्ति, ज्ञान शक्ति, and कर्म शक्ति. इच्छा शक्ति में they try and motivate. ज्ञान शक्ति में they provide skill, knowledge, and कर्म शक्ति में they provide hand holding and support as well. It is altogether, this initiative or this women entrepreneurship platform is built across 6 support pillars. One is accessibility to finance. They will provide market linkages, they'll provide training, they'll provide networking, they'll provide compliance, legal assistance and all, and business development services as well. इसका impact क्या होगा? As the name only suggests, women empowerment, that's the impact. They are actually looking into having women-led businesses domestically as well as internationally. This you please remember. It is not only domestic market that they are tapping. They are also looking forward to the international markets. It engages over 30,000 plus women entrepreneurs through WEP. It serves as a model for similar initiatives nationwide. Now let's talk about LEADS 2024. When I talk about LEADS, it's the 6th edition of this LEADS 2024 report, or the index, you can say. This is important. If some reports and indices that are important for your examination, then this is one of them. कौन publish करता है? Ministry of Commerce. कैसे publish करता है, और what is the idea behind it? So we are publishing this on the similar lines as World Bank publishes Logistic Performance Index. तो वर्ल्ड बैंक का एक इंडेक्स है लॉजिस्टिक्स LPI, which we say in short. उसी के तरह we have our leads. So lead framework, अगर इस पूरे framework की हम बात करें, then it is based upon longevity, efficiency, effectiveness, accessibility, accountability, and digitization. Some announcements that were made in this logistics segment and all, if we have to just sum it up, then there were some plans that were formulated to improve our logistics infrastructure as well as services. Not only this, now we are focusing upon green initiatives. For that we are using modern technologies as well, AI, machine learning, data analytics and all. Now we are not only focusing upon government putting in all the money, public-private partnership is the next thing that has been coming up. Next thing is we are also focusing upon gender inclusivity in this logistics segment, to provide infrastructure planning and coursework all together. So we have Gati Shakti Vidyalaya, Vishwa Vidyalaya that we say. The homework for you all is, where is it located? Tell me in the comment section. Where is this Vishwa Vidyalaya located? Don't tell me it's Delhi University. No. A 15-hour coursework will be there. Not only this, on iGot Karma Yogi platform, UGC Swayam portal, you'll be having multiple courses for this logistics segment and all. The next thing, every index is based upon certain dimensions, certain parameters. There are 4 parameters that you have to remember for this leads index. Number one parameter is infrastructure. Next, it's logistics services. Then it's operating and regulatory environment. And the fourth one, it's your sustainable logistics. That is the new addition. You need to remember this as well. Significance क्या है logistics sector का all together? See, if India wants to become 32 trillion economy by 2047, our logistics sector has to be reformed in such a way that it is at par with the global standards. We are lagging behind, especially in logistics. We are seriously lagging behind. Now, if we see that which state is doing what, which is doing good, which is doing bad, then coastal states, Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, they are the achievers. In landlocked, when I say Haryana, Telangana, UP is there. Northeastern states, we have Assam, Arunachal Pradesh. In Union Territory, we have Chandigarh and Delhi. After achievers, we have fast movers and then we have aspirers. I just don't want to, name one after the other. You can just read it. Try and remember at least the coastal states, first two, three, the landlocked states, at least the achievers you must know. That's the maximum that you can do. If I talk about startups that have been awarded, then in operations, there is a startup. Technology also, there is a startup. In institution, if I say, then IIM Mumbai, Indian Institute of Management Mumbai is the startup that is the institution that has been awarded. You need to remember this. In e-commerce logistics, it's your delivery limited. So that's also an important thing. You can remember that as well. Rest all, you just give it a reading. That's it. If I move ahead and we talk about SBI's 2 new deposit schemes, let's have a look. What is this? So regarding this scheme, that is your SBI's new deposit scheme, let's have a look. What are these? So SBI recently came up with 2 schemes. One is your Har Ghar Lakpati scheme and the other one is SBI Patrons scheme. In the Har Ghar Lakpati scheme, it's basically a pre-calculated recurring deposit scheme which will help, or it is designed in such a way that the customers can accumulate 1 lakh or multiples of it thereof. The minimum tenure of the recurring deposit, or in short RD, is 12 months. Remember this. And the maximum is 120 months, that is 10 years. RBI Patrons, it's basically for those senior citizens who are aged 80 years and above. So basically for the existing and the new term deposits customers who are in the age senior citizen age group of 80 and above, for them specifically this tailor-made fixed deposit scheme is there. So 10 basis points of additional interest rate would be given. So let's say if 7% is the interest rate for the normal people, it would be 7.10% for the senior citizens. That's what they say. Next thing, if we talk about the 3 new greenfield airports, like altogether, why this is important? See, we are looking forward to having more connectivity. More connectivity brings better tourism. Better tourism means better economic empowerment, and with that, social development also happens. All in all, you need to remember the name of the 3 places where the new greenfield airports are to be constructed. One thing is Parandur, which is in Tamil Nadu, then it's Kota, Rajasthan, and Puri, which is in Odisha, obviously. When I talk about greenfield and brownfield, these are the 2 types of establishment infrastructure projects that are being there. Brownfield projects are generally those projects which are already there. They will be revamped, something like that is happening. But when I say greenfield, it's a new project, altogether a new project that is being created. If I talk about in India, combination of both brownfield and greenfield, 159 operational projects are as of now going on there. Now for establishment of these new 3 greenfield airports, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, and Ministry of Home Affairs and Defense Ministry, they all are joining hands for the development. And definitely because airports are to be constructed. Airports Authority of India will always find a name over there. Next thing, let's talk about the fourth biennial update report. As far as your environment is concerned, environmental issues, sustainable development issues, they are there in your ESI syllabus. So that's why this report is also important. Now, when I talk about this fourth, remember this, it is the fourth biennial update, which is for your UNFCCC. Why is this report, or who has given this report? Then Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It is the India's nodal ministry to manage and to coordinate the climate change activities that the government is taking, and this is based upon Article 4.1 of UNFCCC Charter. So, United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, it's Article 4.1. It talks about that every country who is a signatory to UNFCCC, they have to come up with this, what are they doing? Some reporting kind of a mechanism. So, Government of India has submitted its fourth biennial update report, that how much Government of India is trying, or how Government of India has tried and curtail the greenhouse gas emission. So, when I talk about the key highlights of the report that we have submitted, in 2020 greenhouse gas emission, which is excluding the land use change and forestry, it is 2.2959 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. Net emissions, it is 2437. Is there any decrease? Yes. If we compare it with the last year 2019, there was a decrease of 7.93%. So that's a good thing. That means at least Government of India is trying something, but yes, there's a huge way to go even now. When I talk about forest cover and tree cover, that has definitely increased. Additional 2.29 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent carbon sink was created. When I talk about emission intensity of GDP, it has reduced by 36% between 2005 and 2020, showcasing a progress towards decoupling economic growth. When I talk about renewable energy and non-fossil fuel contribution, that also there is the data that has been published. 46.52 of installed electricity generation capacity comes from non-fossil fuel sources. So my homework to all of you is, India has some nationally determined contributions which we have submitted in UNFCCC. You have to tell me what all contributions India has made. In the next class, you'll have a question on this NDCs, which is, and I can tell you one thing. In one of the years of your RBI exam, they asked you what is the full form of this NDC. INDC, I guess they asked. So the full form is nationally determined contribution. So NDC ki full form they asked, and they can also ask what are the NDCs that India has pledged. So that's one question from to all of you. And when you are reading your NDC, do read about Panchamrit as well. So this I am talking about, this is not a current affair portion altogether. This is something that you need to read in your static portion. So when I am saying that, still there is a long way to go, you should start with management first. But side by side, when you are doing your current affairs part, if I am highlighting something, you can just go and read that part. Like you go and read about India's nationally determined contributions. You also read about Prime Minister's pledge on Panchamrit. So these are two homework for you. Once you have read it, you can type it in the comment section below, so that you are also able to revise it once this is done. Now, if I talk about the highest contribution, which is going towards this GHG, greenhouse gas emissions, it is coming from energy sector, 75%, which is huge. Then agriculture, 13%. Then industries, 8% something. And then waste, obviously, is 2.56%. Now, as I told you, nationally determined contribution, NDC, this is your homework. You read about it and you read about Panchamrit as well. Both of these are very important. There were questions previously on NDCs. There can be again a question on this as well. So that's your homework from my end. Now, when I talk about this UNFCCC, this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, it is based upon certain principles. And the main principle, there are multiple principles which we are going to learn about in the static portion when we are reading it. But again, मैं वैसे ही बताऊं, then the main principle is CBDR, which is common but differentiated responsibility. and respective capabilities as well. That means US, India, we may not have the same GDP level, or we may not have the same developmental level, but even if our developmental level may not be same, it is our responsibility. It can be possible that US has more responsibility to contribute towards controlling GHG emissions than what is there for India. But हाँ, responsibility तो दोनों की है based upon our capability. So the one who is more capable, he has more responsibility of curtailing the greenhouse gas emission. Why this is so? Because obviously US, Europe, these are the developed nations who have actually got the most benefit of the industrial revolution. And the menace of climate change that we are facing now, somewhere this problem arose only during the period of industrial revolution, when new companies were coming up, and the environment was not being looked after at that point of time. So the benefit actually went to these developed nations, and who were at the suffering end? It was the developing and the least developed nations. So now it's their responsibility, the developed world responsibility, to look after all these problems. Like, they have more responsibility. But anyways, someday definitely, after some time, I'll start a class on static portion of ESI as well. But as of now, what all small things I'm telling you, you can just maintain a piece of paper, or on the wherever you are making your notes, you can just add it over there. NDC's Panchamrit, these are important. Let's move ahead and talk about Gramin Bharat Mahotsav. Gramin, that means rural. So this Mahotsav, or this celebration, is basically to celebrate the empowerment or the achievements of rural India. It is happening from 4th of January to 9th of January, where at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi. The theme of this event is, it was inaugurated by our Prime Minister. The theme is building a resilient rural India for a Viksit Bharat by 2047. What is the motto? Gaon bade to desh bade. As villages prosper, so does the nation. You need to remember the theme and the motto as well. Who has organized this event? NABARD. And there are multiple other partners, but yes, NABARD is at the center stage. Now, what all achievements are there with respect to this Gramin Bharat Mahotsav, or what all government is showcasing? Government is actually showcasing the Swachh Bharat mission, especially in the rural areas, wherein now government say that every household has a toilet. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, where millions of rural households, they got this pakka houses. Jal Jeevan Mission, where clean drinking water, piped, functional tap water connection was being provided. Then Ayushman Arogya Mandir, telemedicine, which is given via Sanjeevani. So, all these things, they are being showcasing the achievements. Under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, 3 lakh crore rupees have been dispersed. In fact, government in the last couple of years has increased MSP. Even lot of agricultural loans have been dispersed. When I talk about this MSP, recently again there this issue with the MSP is there, where farmers are again coming up for that they want this legalizing of this MSP. So again, MSP is a topic of static minimum support price. Once in your RBI also, they have asked you the full form of MSP. Maybe in NABARD they asked. So such easy questions are there, but now you don't expect such easy questions. So MSP के ऊपर, what is MSP? Why is it important? Should it be legalized or not? This is altogether your static portion part. But if you are reading your newspaper, definitely you will be able to answer this as well. Someday we'll discuss about MSP holistically. But now let's restrict to whatever is there in this Gramin Bharat Mahotsav only. Focus should be on cooperatives. Computerization was done for 70,000 packs. If you remember, in the last class we also talked about how government is actually looking forward to now computerizing all the packs out there. And in the next 5 years, we are even focusing upon developing 2 lakh packs. In fact, SBI research says that poverty reduction in rural area is far more, it's at a higher pace than what is there in urban India. Women empowerment, definitely bank sakhis, bima sakhis, lakpati didis, all these schemes have led to women empowerment in the rural sector specifically. Next thing, if I talk about infrastructure, then under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, 4 lakh kilometers of rural roads were being created. Digital connectivity with via mobile and banking services, it was facilitated by over 5 lakh of common service center. Sustainable and social harmony campaigns like Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, Amrit Sarovar, all these schemes are nothing but they lead to social development of these areas, economic development of these areas. All in all, guys, I just want to tell you from this what kind of a question can come. You can expect a question on where this event happened. You can also expect a question on what was the theme, what was the motto, and who organized this event. Apart from this, you can also see that certain important schemes of Government of India that you should know, and their details you must know before your exam. That is Swachh Bharat Mission, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission, Arogya Mandir and all. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Mandhan Yojana, apart from this MSP and others. What you can do is, as in, when our classes will proceed further, I'll also try to cover the schemes as well. So I'll try to cover the schemes, but then you have to tell me, should I be covering within these classes, or I can take some special sessions. Like I'll start from one ministry, I'll cover 2 3 schemes of that ministry in a class, and then we can take a part 2 of that. So this way also we can complete it. But then you have to tell me in the comment section how you want or what you feel could be the better way out. Now let's talk about Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Awards. So this is also a very prestigious award which is given for as the highest sports honor in our country. These awards actually were instituted in 1991-92. As of 2020, the government increased the cash prize to 25 lakhs. There is a medal also given, and there is a certificate also that is given. There will be 4 awardees of Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Awards this year who will be given the honors on 17th of January by our president. One is Manu Bhakar, who is a shooting. She has got the prize for. Harmanpreet Singh from hockey, Praveen Kumar, para athletics, and obviously D. Gokesh, we all know via chess. You need to remember all the 4 names with the respective games that they are into. Now in this, while this award ceremony is being held, there are other awards also that are given, like Major Dhyan Chand for outstanding performance in the previous 4 years. Arjuna Award, basically this is given for good performance in the last 4 years, showing leadership, a sportsman spirit, and a sense of good discipline. Arjuna Award for lifetime is also given. Specifically, it is given for after a person has retired from active sports career. Then there is this Dronacharya Award. Dronacharya Award is given to the coaches. So remember this, it is for the coaches because of whom we or India might have excelled in some sports at some international event. Then for the universities, for the top performing universities, in the Khelo India University game, there is this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Trophy. So you must remember that what all sports related awards are being given. Now let's talk about some miscellaneous news, some little here and there. Which city is the first to get Blinkit's ambulance in 10-minute service? So now not only the delivery will be done of food and all, even ambulance will be there in 10 minutes, and this will be in which city? It's in Gurgaon. So it is started by your Blinkit. It will be having basic life support ambulance. A 10-minute delivery service will be provided to the resident of Gurgaon as of now. The next is India's first glass bridge. Remember, India's first. It's not the world's first, it is India's first. Where? In Tamil Nadu. The glass bridge basically connects your Saint Thiruvalluvar statue and the Vivekanand Rock Memorial. The bridge would allow the tourists to enjoy a breeze walk between the two places. The 77 meters bridge was inaugurated as a part of Silver Jubilee celebration of the statue. So ये जो तिरुवल्लुवर statue है, इनको हम Statue of Wisdom भी कहते हैं. What is the cost of constructing this glass bridge? That's what the question is. I hope so. these kind of questions, they do come, one or two questions, such offbeat questions are there. So that's how it is. 37 crore is what the cost of this project was. But you can also visit this place, it's a nice place. Let's move ahead and let's talk about a homework question. You can just pause the video, you can just look at the question and tell me which of the following options they are correctly matched. Likewise, we'll discuss the answer to this question in the next class. Moving ahead, if you feel that the session was helpful, you can hit the like button. You can support this channel by sharing it with your friends. You can also subscribe to the channel if you feel that we are in any way having some positive impact in your preparation. Not only this, very soon, maybe by next week itself, we'll be starting with the, even this week I feel, we'll be starting with the management classes. Slowly, once the management gets over, we can start with ESI as well. But yes, these PIB sessions and RBI circular session, I'll try and take it more regularly. In the week, 3 times we'll be having sessions which are related to ESI, where we'll be covering PIB and newspaper. For RBI circulars, I will take maybe twice a month or thrice a month. We have to see how many RBI circulars are coming up. Based upon that, we'll take the number of sessions. One more thing, guys, for the government schemes, I need your help. What do you think I should be doing? In every session, I should be discussing one scheme, or for scheme related thing, we can have a special session, ministry wise. So ministry wise, we can take session. We can start from Ministry of Finance, and slowly we can take some schemes. So like Ministry of Finance, we can have 3 sessions because it's a big ministry. Like the schemes which are there from the Ministry of Finance, it's very critical for the exam, so we can take more sessions on it. So we can do that ways also. Rest, it's upon you how you feel the things should be done. That's all from my side. Thank you. And one more time, if you feel that the session is helpful, do hit the like button. Thank you. Have a nice day.